G'day folks, how is everybody doing? We've just had a fantastic weekend of MLG Province with the national finals taking place. Hope everyone tuned in and watched some of the games there. We actually saw some fantastic stuff. And speaking of fantastic stuff, we're going to have a game from the Korean server right here, right now. We're going to see a Zerg against a Protoss. The Zerg's name is Icecoffee. He's going to be down here in the 6 o'clock position on Metalopolis, of course. He's going to be against my favorite Korean Protoss here, not Soul Extreme. It's actually the Smurf account of NEXSickness. He's of course one of my favorite Protoss players, given that he actually does these fantastic builds and fantastic plays, especially relating to micro-based plays. And we'll see what he gets up to here on this particular map. Now, this does the position sort of favor, give the Zerg a bit of an advantage here. The main reasoning for that is that when you expand, you're actually expanding away from your opponent. You're expanding to the right across these 5 bases up to the top, and perhaps that middle one there as well. But this actually allows the Zerg to get some extra bases, perhaps a little bit quicker than they normally would, but that's just one thing to consider when you are playing on this map. But Sickness, meanwhile, is going to go for that Forge expand. It looks like we're going to get that Forge up pretty quickly here, and we'll see what he gets up to. We've got the Overlords just scouting around. We've got this one just having a peek over at the side here. Going to see that Forge is going down there. Can see that there's no standard wall off here at the ramp, so he's going to be able to get in and see exactly what's happening. Looks as if we've got a worker fight going on at the Zerg side. The spawning pool is up as well, which is going to provide Coffee with some added defensive pressure, and also that map control, that comes out when you actually get some Zerglings out. So we'll see if he is going to get some of that going. Meanwhile, the drone has had enough of chasing that particular probe. Sickness, well aware of that, is actually on the ball, comes across, and he's actually going to just have another peek inside. Meanwhile, Chrono Boost going down on the gateways here, on the Nexus here. It's a little bit interesting actually how much minerals is actually there. I was about to say, very interesting amount of minerals being built up there by Sickness. It looks as if he's going to go for some cheese. I mean, hello, it's the Korean server. We'll do what we want. I actually got cheesed 3 times in a row yesterday night when I was playing. I got a 6 pull, and then a 6 pull, and then a Cloak Banshee, like this sort of weird rush thing. But anyway, looks as if we've got Sickness actually getting a 3 pylon block at the top of the ramp. Very interesting to see that. Now, what this is going to do is it means that the Zerglings are going to have to actually try and bust through the top of the ramp there themselves before they actually get down to the bottom. And it looks as if with that secondary wall off, Sickness is going to be able to hold off the Zerglings for now. Of course, the one advantage of doing this particular build is that if you can actually stop the Zerg from getting out of this base, then they'll be in a lot of trouble. This expansion here is going to go down pretty quickly. I'm a little bit surprised that Coffee is letting this go. Perhaps might be a better idea to actually cancel that. We'll see what he does. The 1 cannon is up. We're getting a second one done as well, and it does complete, so he is going to let that go. I think Coffee is actually just basing his play is going to try and be on the fact that he can actually push down with these spine crawlers, and in fact, interestingly, moving down the spine crawlers to the natural here, and what an amazing play there from Sickness, blocking off the positioning there. These spine crawlers are going to have nowhere to go. They cannot get inside. Looks as if the 3 cannons are going to be done in just a second. The second one is just about done there, blocking off the rest of this natural here with these extra pylons. Fantastic stuff. The Zerglings still cannot get inside and will not be able to deal with those cannons there. 3 cannons now finished off. There is no way that these Zerglings are going to be able to get through, and it looks as if this spine crawler is having a sad day. He's just going to hang out down here. Meanwhile, a Queen does come out, puts down a Creep Tumor. Lucky little Creep Tumor there to stay up for the moment, but Probe actually trying to come across. He's going to have something to say about that Creep Tumor, not actually able to get it back down, but now Sickness is free to, in fact, while killing that, he's actually just going to have a wander through the base. One Zergling is going to try and pick it up, and indeed is going to. Looks as if a counter attack is on from Coffee. He's going to try and push in with some of these Zerglings here. They do get past the attempted wall there. The wall not actually getting up in time. One of the cannons now done, but unfortunately no pylons inside the main. This one Zealot's going to have a heck of a time here. Nice little micro to take care of some of those Zerglings there to keep them alive. Meanwhile, back at the natural, the expansion is now dead. Queen trying to come down the ramp. Not really sure what that's going to do, but this pylon wall is absolutely hilarious there from Sickness. Looks as if some probes are going to try and come across the deal with these with the Zerglings, and here we go. They are going to just actually make them chase each other around the map, and probably not going to get too much done here. In fact, coming out to try and get a block on those Zerglings there, taking out one of them. The other three are somehow busting through. One of them gets down, and we've got a two Zergling little group left over. These guys are going to have to run around the base because these probes will actually just destroy them if they can actually catch them. But looks as if the expansion is not going to go up here from Sickness. He's going to get just this interesting little wall off going. Going to have 3 gates in total. We've got the 2 gas going as well. Meanwhile, the cannons are just absolutely deflecting any attempts at getting through this particular base here, and it looks as if we've got a lair on the way. So I'm thinking perhaps that Coffee is going to go for a Nidus play, and we'll see what happens here. He does have an Overlord over here giving vision of this section of the map, and of course we can assume, yeah, he's going to actually move over one of the other Overlords to give vision inside the Protoss base. So these 2 Zerglings, of course, will give a bit of vision as well, but you don't really want to put down the Nidus where the probes are going to see it. So he's probably going to have a look at trying getting it down inside the smoke here or to the side. A little interesting trick here is if a lot of people will put like a detection sort of building here, like a supply depot or pylon, something like that. But if you actually just put a Nidus worm off to the side, it still doesn't actually see it. As you can see here, because of the vents there that block off the vision, you can still get something built here like a Nidus worm. So we'll see what actually happens here. We've actually got a lot of Zerglings starting to pop out here. Speed is only just now getting close to completion here, just about 3/4 done. There is the Nidus network. Obviously does cost a bit of gas, so he's had to spend some time getting that gas built up. Meanwhile, the natural expansion is the interesting part of this particular position here for Sickness. He's got the Cyber down here. We've got 3 gates, and it looks as if the Nexus is not going to go down unless you actually take out the, I think, the Cyber, those 2 gates at a minimum. So we'll see what Sickness is going to get up to. Meanwhile, just having a look at what's going on. This Queen doing a great job of actually spreading some of this creep. Looks as if there is a Spinecrawler trying to push out here. There was one sentry that was able to block off the Spinecrawler from getting out. Fantastic reactions there from Sickness, and now that Speed is done, no doubt the attack is going to be on the way here from this Nidus Worm. There it is. As we said before, you can't actually see it because of that gas blocking the vision. Always something to keep in mind when you are playing on Metalopolis, that that sort of thing can be utilized to your advantage. Blink is on the way from Sickness. He's going to have that up and running. We've got some Stalkers actually just inside the base of Coffee. They're just going to walk in because, of course, the Zerglings are actually inside the main of Sickness, and here they go, trying to bust through here. The probes are going to try and escape. There is a little path there available for them. They are going to get out in time. Sickness does have 700 minerals available to him, so he can build another Nexus, but we did say, of course, that the Nexus is blocked by all of these buildings here. These Stalkers that are inside the base are going to actually destroy that Nidus Worm, and they do indeed. These little broodlings are going to have to try and take a shot at the Stalkers. They are the only defensive measures available for Coffee, but it looks as if the damage has been done inside the main base of Sickness, and it looks as if we're going to have a base trade. It's kind of literally, we're actually going to lose the Zerg base over here, and then he's just going to build it over here. We'll see what Sickness is up to in just a second, but it looks as if the probes are trying to get in and actually stop these Zerglings from taking out this cannon. That was the last bastion of hope for Sickness to defend these buildings here. If he loses all of these, he's going to be in a lot of trouble, and of course, if he loses these probes, he's also going to be in quite a great deal of trouble here, given that Zerg is going to have this this hatchery up and running. Sickness, meanwhile, expanding to the gold in the middle. Love this decision. Because you can actually wall off this, despite how it looks, you can wall off one side, put a couple of cannons up, and you can actually be safe against a small swarm of Zerglings like this. It will be very dependent on if Coffee is actually going to scout it out. Of course, he's not actually going to head up to those watchtowers just yet. He's got bigger fish to fry. These gateways need to go down. The Cyber as well, of course. Don't want any more Stalkers warping in. And, of course, now, in fact, hello, we've got probes taking on this lair. This is going to be an interesting fight here. A couple of drones actually trying to do what they can, get some more minerals before everything goes to hell, but the probes are they're gonna kill a lair. It's not often you see that, but as we can see, we've got the Queen inside the main, or what was the X-main of Sickness, dealing with a Pylon here. Going to deal with that assimilator in a short time, no doubt. And looks as if Sickness is actually going to sit here at the bottom of the ramp. This is an interesting position for him. He can't really push up. There are kind of a few too many Zerglings here, and with only one sentry to utilize, it's going to be really tough for him to actually get inside and take care of all those Zerglings. What he's going to have to do is perhaps sit on the top of this ramp and just again, sort of deny the Zerg from expanding out any further than what he is. Interesting to see that the lair is still going down. One probe is going to be sitting here forever, a probe, and going to be forever alone, sitting there on that hatchery. Looks as if an extra pylon was found inside the base here by Coffee. Is going to try and take that down, and he does indeed. The Nexus is now up and running here at the gold, so this is going to be very, very weird from these two players. We've had a base trade literally, where we've got the Zerg taking over Sickness's base, and now we've got a base switch in effect here. Sickness taking this gold, so we'll see what he's going to get up to here. This one probe heading off, not actually sure what that's going to do. Okay, I think that's just going to scout out for some extra bases. Always going to be good with your scouting to make sure that your opponent doesn't actually get any extra bases up. And here it goes, probe taking down a lair. Not every day you see that, and the probe dutifully defended there by the cannons, taking out a couple of the broodlings before the probe was actually able to take out any extra damage. Could be interesting to see if Coffee takes advantage of these two extra little larvae that are going to sit here. What he is going to have to deal with are these stalkers that are sitting at the top of the ramp. This sentry has probably got full energy now, probably does have a few force fields to use, and will be ready for anything that those Zerglings try. But now a spine crawler is actually going to build off to the side, it's going to burrow off to the side here. The queen is going to defend it for now, not actually sure if that's the greatest idea. Almost catching out that queen, but it looks as if Sickness is, we're all good. We're all good. He's mining out at that gold. He's going to get that up and running. In effect, he's going to have this base available to use if he can get an observer up to spot. Can we actually see? No, we can't. We can't see the tumors just yet. But if he can get across here, he could clean up this base and take this for himself, not to mention this one. There is that extra drone I was mentioning here. Going to probably keep this here. I would love to see him just hide it off to the side to make sure he can build another hatchery there or something if he needs to. But still just sitting on a lot of Zerglings here for Coffee. So he's just going to need to get up the gas production in a moment here, but what he is doing is just getting these drones going so that he can have a decent economy. A couple of these stalkers just being microed very, very carefully there by Sickness. In fact, the Zerglings are going to have something to say about that, and two spine crawlers are going to be here, and if he can move one of the spine crawlers across, he should be able to push Sickness away from the ramp so that he can't actually take that anymore. And here is the that hatchery back inside the main base here of Coffee, and in fact this Zealot is going to come across and should be able to take care of these three units here. A couple of Zerglings are not going to be able to deal with one Zealot, and there you go, take down the shields of that Zealot, and it's going to have a field day with that last remaining drone inside this base. So good little attempt there from Coffee to take that. But meanwhile, just in the main base, or what is now the main base of Sickness, we've got 3 gates just about to be up and running, one half done, so he's going to have that shortly. A couple of pylons here nicely positioned so that they aren't in the in any sort of position where Zerglings can just destroy them all at once and deny any further warp-ins from Sickness. But a couple of extra sentries are now out as well, going to give Sickness again a little bit of position to move against these Zerglings here. The Zerglings trying to distract the Stalkers while the spine crawlers burrow in, but it looks as if he is going to be able to take some shots at these, perhaps going to get one of them down before they all die, and it looks as if the Zerglings have had enough, blocking off these units here, in fact blocking themselves in with a few of the Zerglings. May lose both of these sentries that are trapped inside, does lose the Stalker. The Zerglings now busting to get out here. They're like the big bad wolf trying to get in, but these sentries are not going to let them in by the hair on their chinny chin. But now the Zerglings getting out, and they are going to catch all of these units, no doubt about it. Some force fields going down from Sickness is going to lose these sentries off to the side. The Stalkers are going to go down, no doubt about that, but a few more units are probably going to warp in and will allow Sickness to actually stay in the game for the moment here. Too many Zerglings are able to try and push in there, so he's not going to be able to get inside, but the Zerglings have now spotted out that base, and he is going to be well aware of that one Zealot just taking care of the extra extractor that's there. But this has suddenly got a little bit interesting here for both of these players. A couple of Stalkers out in the middle of nowhere, not really sure what they're going to do. They will join up with the rest of the forces here, and Sickness, I'm really not sure who's in the better position here. Obviously, Sickness has the advantage of the income with this base here. He is currently sitting at around about, sort of sitting around the 800 mark. He is a little bit behind, though, on the probe, so that could dictate how this game is going to go. Microing around these units here, actually blocking out the roaches from getting into the rest of that battle, so he's going to be able to take out some of these Zerglings. An attempted second base here from Coffee is going to allow him to get up a little bit more income and production as well. We're sort of waiting to see if Sickness is going to allow that to happen. Surely he's going to scout up there eventually. He's been doing a great job of scouting out with this probe that was just having a look around. In fact, building a redundancy pylon, you could say, back here in the gas, but now pushing inside. Sickness is going to have a go at getting inside this base. He is going to be able to take care of this spine crawler here. The drones coming out. The drones are going to be needed to fend off this attack. If they can hold off, this could be a little bit of a game changer here, but I think there are far too many stalkers here for Coffee to actually deal with, but in fact, no, it's switched around the other way. Those drones really helping out there. A great burrow there. That Queen has had enough of that battle and has just run away, duck for cover, and she has indeed, but a couple of, looks like a Pylon has actually spotted this base up here, so Sickness, while he did kind of lose that battle in a way, he's actually going to be in a lot of trouble now with an observer now coming out here, going to be able to spot those roaches if they burrow. The probes now coming along to try and help out in defending these stalkers, and it looks as if the stalkers get surrounded by the roaches. The roaches doing a great job here. Love to see this roach micro from Zerg players. Should see it a little bit more. Of course, it's something that does provide you with a little bit of extra health on those roaches when they burrow. They get that back a little bit quicker, but not too many people use that. I know it does take a lot of micro to actually do that sort of thing in the heat of battle, but it's something that could be utilized perhaps a little bit more. But meanwhile, the Immortal is coming out now from Sickness. He is going to be able to deal with those roaches once that Immortal comes into the mix. One Zealot just valiantly fighting off, trying to deal with these roaches. Does take care of one, gets another one pretty low as well, but it looks as if a gateway is being built up here. Not actually sure what the point of that is. Perhaps he was going to go for a forge or something like that and build a couple of cannons to defend this, but he's not going to get that done. A couple of Zealots hacking away at that expansion there. But now, with the Immortal in the mix and a second one on the way, we've got a Prism, in fact, is coming along here from Sickness as well. We could see that patented fantastic Immortal micro from him, which we have seen in some other games, and we'll see what happens here. The roaches have taken care of that Pylon. The one observer now sitting in a great position to spot any potential attacks here from Coffee. So we heard the sound of that Prism now popping out. Here it comes. He's going to use this. We'll probably see. I think he's going to do it. We're going to see some of that awesome micro dropping out the Immortal there, getting that instant shot off that off the Immortal there, which really helps because of course the roaches don't have an instant shot. It's a projectile, so they will actually not be able to hit the Immortal if it's pulled back inside the Prism fast enough. The roaches now well aware that that Immortal threat is there, are trying to run away. The Prism is a tiny bit faster, I believe. The Prism is just a little tiny bit, but a second Immortal pops out. This could be an interesting spot here for Coffee because he doesn't actually have any other tech available to him. Unfortunately, this main base has actually been mined out. The natural here, of course, is pretty undefended for the moment, but with those roaches in the mix, it certainly will help. It looks as if Prism going for that micro there, actually getting a couple of hits off on the Immortals there, but they still do have their shields, or one of them has their shields. The other one's going to regen it up a little bit, but the Immortals doing fantastic damage against these against these roaches here, dropping them out, pulling them back in. Beautiful, beautiful micro there. Let's have a look at the APM. That is going off the charts. They're sitting at 200 of the crazy new Blizzard APM, but now getting some vision from the observer that's up in the sky, and now just dropping out, dropping in, and actually with the observer there, he's actually able to take care of some of those roaches before they can escape. And look at that, one Immortal in the red, but the other one is sitting nice and pretty in the green. So another observer is on the way. It's going to help out with spotting exactly what's going on in the Zerg base. But again, some more fantastic micro there from Sickness, just dropping out the Immortals, letting them regen their shields, of course. As you can see, that square box is that's there is the shields, and once that gets to the third bar, that's when they get pretty much fully charged. But Sickness now actually looking to transfer to the secondary gold base. A couple of Zealots have to warp in here to take care of the Zerglings that are coming in, but this is a really big Zergling threat coming in for Sickness. He's probably going to lose some of these probes. Beautiful unit split up there from Coffee actually to take care of some of the probes and some of the units at the same time here. As you can see, these Zerglings up the top took care of a lot of the probes, so we'll see if he is going to be able to clean up this space. I would suspect he is going to. There is just not enough here for Sickness to help defend here. With a couple of force fields up, that is fantastic, be able to trap those Zerglings. However, he is going to lose these, the Nexus and the Roaches are probably going to be able to just head out the back door, you would say. I don't think they'd want to take on that particular force at the bottom of the ramp, especially with an Immortal in the mix as well. Speaking of Immortals, one of them unfortunately falling there, but the extra one was able to help clean up that hatchery there. So now We currently have Coffee sitting on a lair. He's long distance mining from the third, of course, because that hatchery just died, and he's actually just in a really crappy spot. But there is a battle going on. We've got Sickness actually doing a nice job here, force fielding off some of these roaches. There are only a couple of them are actually able to take shots here. We don't have an observer to catch out these roaches that are burrowing, but fantastic micro to keep some of these roaches alive, running onto that creep. They will be able to stay alive for the moment, but an observer finally comes in, and looks like Sickness is going to be in a great spot to take this game. The Zerg, with no secondary base to mine from, is going to just be in so much trouble here. It looks as if he may want to try and get that that extra hatchery there up at the natural, but it's not going to happen. Stalkers and sentries now moving in for the final kill, you would say. Force fielding off the ramp so the drones can die. Probably going to build a pylon here so he can warp in some extra units, and I would say that is pretty much done and dusted for Coffee there. He's going to need to pull some sort of miracle out. We've only got Zerglings to help defend, and of course with this well-positioned, the Sim City here on the base is actually really nice, and with that Warp Prism Micro, there you go. The roaches, there's 6 roaches there, and they are too afraid to fight this one Immortal. It's a fantastic thing to see, of course, but it's just some brilliant micro there from Sickness to be able to do that sort of thing, and now Coffee is left with this very sad looking force of roaches, a few drones, and that is about it. Now finally, long distance mining here from the natural expansion. A little bit late, I would have thought, but he's not going to get anything up to actually defend here. Warp Prism now in the mix as well, going to be able to warp in some more units, and of course with that Immortal inside, those roaches have no hope of actually winning this game. And now finally picking off the last few drones that are trying to mine from the natural expansion, and I would say, boys and girls, that is going to be it. Dropping out the Immortal here, showing off those skills again. In fact, picking off Zerglings, that's how crazy that is. Has full shields on that Immortal, as you can see there. In fact, dropping down just a tiny bit there. The roaches now about to all die to one lonely Immortal, and that is probably going to be it. There you go. So fantastic game from Sickness there, doing this very interesting cannon block here, blocking off the natural so no units could actually get out the side and come up the back of those cannons, and then actually doing this very interesting base trade. Believe it or not, Sickness started over here. That's how this game actually started out, and he ended up here with roaches at the back and one Immortal taking care of every single thing in this attack force. So great game between these two guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. It has been a bit of a Sickness day. I've casted 3 Sickness reps today. He's just that incredibly good. But we'll see some more. I've got a few days off, so we'll catch some more games of the other races. I promise I'll do some more games from the other races as well. And we'll see you guys next time. Cheers.